Okay, get ready to dive into Egyptian mythology.
It's a wild ride.
Those crazy stories about gods with animal heads
Yeah.
and family drama that puts any soap opera to shame.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, of course, all that resurrection stuff.
Like something straight out of a movie?
Well, more like an ancient Egyptian TV series.
Right. A whole season of coming back from the dead.
Exactly. And the coolest thing is,
Yeah.
there isn't just one version of these myths.
Oh, no, no, no.
We've got a whole bunch of them.
And they're all a bit different.
Thanks to all those artifacts and texts they keep digging up.
It's like archaeologists keep adding episodes to the show, and we're trying to figure out how they all fit together.
Like a giant puzzle where every city in ancient Egypt had its own set of pieces.
And sometimes the pieces don't quite match up.
That's what makes this deep dive so fun.
Right. We get to sift through all the evidence.
From serious academic papers to those wild theories you find online.
Yeah, those late-night internet rabbit holes.
And see what we can learn.
We might even find some satirical gold along the way.
For those of us who don't always buy those official narratives.
Those stories history tries to tell us.
Exactly. And, speaking of questioning things,
Oh yeah, what's on your mind?
have you ever noticed how unusual the Egyptian gods look?
Oh yeah, they're definitely not your typical Greek gods in togas.
Not even close. I mean, falcon heads,
Falcon heads, right.
crocodile heads,
Oh, and don't forget the scarab beetle.
a scarab beetle.
Yeah.
Really? Pushing a ball of dung?
Yep, that's Khepri, the dung beetle god.
Okay, I get the whole circle of life symbolism, but come on.
What's wrong with the dung beetle?
Wouldn't a lion or an eagle have been a bit more, impressive?
Maybe. But remember, we're talking about a civilization that saw divinity in everything.
Even in, let's say, the less glamorous parts of nature.
Exactly. They found the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Even in a dung beetle.
Even in a dung beetle.
Okay, point taken.
Good.
So, before we get too deep into the symbolism,
Yeah.
let's go back to the beginning.
To the very beginning.
The creation myth.
Ah, the Egyptian version of in the beginning.
So how did the worlds begin according to the Egyptians?
Well, it all starts with none.
None.
The primordial
A
waters.
sort of cosmic soup?
Yeah, with the potential for everything.
Okay. And then,
Well, here's where it gets interesting.
really?
None, through self-union, gives birth to Atum.
Hold on. Self-union.
You heard that right.
So none just created itself.
And then birthed a god,
That's right.
essentially, yes.
So Atum is like the ultimate self-made god.
You could say that.
And he kicks off this whole divine dynasty.
He does.
But the family tree gets a little complicated?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Let's just say the Egyptians weren't afraid of keeping things simple.
So how does it all unfold?
Well, Atum creates Shu, the wind god,
Okay.
and Tefnut, the lion-headed rain goddess.
A lion-headed rain goddess.
It's a bit much, I know. But then these two,
Yeah.
well, they get together
There, I'm guessing you're using that term loosely.
very loosely, and they give birth to Nut, the sky goddess,
Okay.
and Jeb, the earth god.
Hold on a second. The sky is female,
You got it.
and the earth is male.
The Egyptians like to do things differently.
That's definitely different from what you usually see.
It is. And get this, Nuts and Geb are always shown in this close embrace,
Really.
with Nut arched over Geb, her body forming the heavens.
I can picture it, but isn't there something about Shu keeping them separated
You're right. Shu, the wind god, has to keep them apart.
to prevent them from
Well,
getting a little too close?
that's some serious family drama.
Oh, yeah, holding your parents apart for eternity.
Like a cosmic restraining order.
Exactly. But it's from this, shall we say, strained relationship
Yeah.
that we get four key figures in Egyptian mythology.
Who are they?
Osiris,
Okay.
Isis,
Got it.
and
And Nephthys.
with these four, things start to heat up
You could say that.
because this is where the big conflict kicks in.
The battle between Osiris and Set.
The ultimate sibling rivalry.
Right. But with a divine twist.
So tell me more about these two. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy?
Well, Osiris is usually seen as the good ruler.
The one who brought civilization to Egypt.
Yep. He taught humans about agriculture, law, and all those good things.
So he's the god you'd want to have over for dinner
As long as Set wasn't on the guest list.
because Set was the troublemaker.
Let's just say he wasn't exactly winning any Brother of the Year awards.
What was his deal?
Well, he was associated with the desert, storms, chaos,
Yeah.
and jealousy.
And he was particularly jealous of Osiris.
Oh, yeah?
You know, it seems like sibling rivalry is a big theme in these mythologies.
It really is.
Like the gods just couldn't resist a good family feud.
It's all very human, isn't it?
It is. And it makes you wonder, if these gods are so powerful,
Yeah.
why are they so caught up in these petty jealousies?
It's almost like the Egyptians were making fun of the idea of perfect gods.
Showing that even they have their flaws.
Right, like they were saying, hey, even if you're a god, you're still stuck with family drama.
Okay, so let's get back to Set and his evil plan.
All right, are you ready for this?
How does he take down his brother?
He comes up with this really clever plan.
Really?
He builds this gorgeous coffin.
A coffin?
Yeah, all decorated and everything.
Okay.
And then, during a big feast, he challenges everyone to lie down in it.
To see if it fits.
Exactly.
Knowing full well that it was made for Osiris.
Oh, yeah, it was a total setup.
Talk about a trap.
So Osiris, being totally unsuspecting,
Yeah.
he lies down in the coffin.
Yeah.
And bam, Set slams the lid shut,
No way.
seals it up tight.
What happens next?
He tosses it into the Nile.
That's brutal.
Oh, it gets worse.
What could be worse than that?
Like, Set isn't done yet.
He doesn't just leave Osiris at the bottom of the river.
No, he finds the coffin, takes Osiris's body.
Then what?
He chops him up into 14 pieces
You're kidding.
and scatters them all over Egypt.
Why would he go to all that trouble?
It's like he wanted to make a statement.
Like, look how powerful I am. I can even destroy a god.
Something like that.
But at least it gives Isis something to do.
It does, doesn't it? She sets off on this epic quest.
To find all the pieces of her husband.
It's a real love story.
And this is where Anubis comes in.
The jackal-headed god.
Right? The god of embalming and the afterlife.
He's a key player in all of this.
So he helps Isis put Osiris back together.
He does, but there's a twist.
What kind of twist?
Anubis is actually the son of Nephthys.
Set's wife.
That's right.
And Osiris.
Wait, what? So Osiris was having an affair with his brother's wife.
It's a bit messy, isn't it?
Talk about complicated family dynamics.
And the irony of it all.
What do you mean?
The god of the underworld, the judge of the dead.
Yeah.
He's born from a secret affair.
You have to admit, that's kind of funny.
It is, isn't it?
Like, the Egyptians were injecting some humor into these stories. They were definitely poking fun at the idea of perfect gods.
Showing that even they had their secrets and scandals.
They were more human than you might think.
Well, it certainly makes them more relatable.
It does.
But before we get too lost in the soap opera of it all,
Yeah.
let's talk more about Anubis.
Right.
He's more than just a product of a scandalous affair.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a crucial figure in Egyptian mythology.
Especially when it comes to death and the afterlife.
Right. He oversees the whole mummification process.
Make sure the deceased are ready for their journey to the underworld.
He's like the ultimate funeral director.
And speaking of the underworld,
Yeah.
this brings us to the Book of the Dead.
One of the most fascinating documents from ancient Egypt.
What exactly is it?
Well, it's not really one book.
It isn't.
It's more like a collection of spells and instructions.
What kind of instructions?
Instructions for navigating the afterlife.
Like a guidebook for the dead.
Exactly.
So what kind of things does it tell you?
Well, it talks about all the dangers you might encounter in the underworld.
Like what?
Fire-breathing serpents, soul-devouring demons, that sort of thing.
Sounds terrifying.
It does, doesn't it?
And of course, there's the weighing of the heart ceremony.
Where your heart is judged against the feather of truth.
Yeah, that's one of the most iconic images from Egyptian mythology.
It really is.
It's like their version of Judgment Day.
Where your actions in this life determine your fate in the next.
It makes you think twice about how you're living your life.
It does.
But we've only scratched the surface of the Book of the Dead.
And the whole Egyptian concept of the afterlife.
It seems like a whole world of fascinating details waiting to be explored.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, for now, we'll leave you with that image of the weighing of the heart,
That moment of truth.
where everything is laid bare before the scales of justice.
It's a reminder that even in myth and legend,
Yeah.
there are echoes of universal truths.
And the human struggle to find meaning, and maybe even redemption.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. But, you know, speaking of redemption,
Yeah.
we'll continue the story next time.
With the tale of Horus, Osiris's son,
The falcon-headed god destined to avenge his father.
and reclaim the throne from his evil uncle, Set.
Sounds like a cliffhanger.
It is.
Until then, keep those minds open, those questions coming.
We'll see you back here for another deep dive into Egyptian mythology.
We will.
Back again for more Egyptian mythology.
Ready for round 2?
Good.
We left off with Osiris,
Yeah.
all chopped up.
Scattered all over Egypt.
Isis was on a quest to put him back together.
And their son, Horus, was waiting to get his revenge.
Talk about a family drama.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But before we move on to Horus,
Yeah.
there's something we should talk about.
What's that?
This whole idea of resurrection.
It seems like a big deal in Egyptian mythology.
It really is. They were obsessed with it.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's like they couldn't accept the idea of death.
They wanted to cheat it.
To live forever.
Especially the pharaohs, right?
Oh, yeah. They wanted to rule for all eternity.
But I think it goes deeper than that.
What do you mean?
The Egyptians had this belief in cycles.
Cycles.
Yeah, like the Nile River,
Flooding and receding every year.
bringing life and then taking it away.
Only to bring it back again.
Exactly. So maybe resurrection wasn't just about living forever.
But about being part of that natural cycle.
Like tapping into that rhythm of creation and destruction.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it?
It is.
So Isis, she finds all the pieces of Osiris.
With a little help from Anubis.
Right. And she brings him back to life.
But there's a catch, right?
There is. Osiris can't rule the land of the living anymore.
Because he's been to the underworld.
He becomes the ruler of the dead.
Not a bad gig if you like the dark.
But that leaves a vacancy up top.
And that's where Horus comes in.
Horus, son of Osiris, the falcon-headed god.
He's destined for greatness, isn't he?
You could say that.
So what's his first order of business?
To avenge his father.
And to reclaim the throne from Set.
It's a classic revenge story.
How does Set react to all of this?
Let's just say he's not happy about it.
What happens next?
Well, it leads to this epic battle.
Between Horus and Set.
Horus and Set, the ultimate showdown.
Good versus evil?
Order versus chaos.
How long does this battle last?
80 years.
80 years. That's a long time to be fighting.
They don't do things by halves in Egyptian mythology.
What happens during the battle?
Well, both of them get pretty banged up.
Like what?
Horus loses his left eye.
The famous Eye of Horus.
Yeah, a symbol of protection and royal power.
But Set gets off worse, right?
Oh, yeah, he loses a leg.
And some other important parts.
Let's just leave it at that.
So after 80 years of fighting,
Yeah.
who wins?
Well, in the end, good triumphs over evil
Horus defeats Set.
and reclaims the throne.
It's like a happy ending.
Well, as happy as things get in Egyptian mythology.
So Horus becomes the first pharaoh.
That's right, establishing a new dynasty.
It's amazing how these myths tie into Egyptian history.
They do. And this battle between Horus and Set,
Yeah.
it's like a metaphor, isn't it?
For what?
For the struggle between light and darkness.
Good and evil.
Order and chaos.
A struggle that's still going on today.
We all have our own inner Horus and Set.
You're right, it's like a universal battle.
And the Egyptians were trying to make sense of it all.
Through these amazing stories.
You were definitely onto something.
So we've got this one creation myth,
None giving birth to Atum.
but there are others, right?
Oh, yeah, the Egyptians had a lot of creation myths.
Each with its own unique perspective.
Like the Hermopolis creation myth.
What's that one about?
It involves 8 primordial deities.
Hey, gods.
Called the Ogdoad.
What do they represent?
They represented the forces of chaos.
The chaos that existed before creation.
Exactly. It's a bit different from the Nun and Atum story.
So how does creation happen in this version?
Out of all that chaos, a mound of earth appears.
Okay.
And from this mound, a lotus flower blooms.
The lotus flower.
And from the lotus flower, Ra is born.
Ra, the sun god.
That's right.
So instead of self-union,
we have a lotus flower as the birthing pod.
it's interesting how different cultures explain creation.
It is.
The Egyptians used all sorts of imagery,
Water, mounds of earth, lotus flowers.
even self-union.
It's like they were trying to grasp this idea of something coming from nothing.
It's a mystery that still baffles us today.
It does.
But that's the power of mythology, isn't it?
What do you mean?
It helps us explore these big questions.
About life, the universe, everything.
Exactly. And sometimes those myths can be funny
They can.
or thought-provoking.
Especially if you read between the lines.
Speaking of reading between the lines,
Yeah.
remember that connection between Egyptian and Japanese mythology?
The one we talked about earlier.
Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is.
The idea that these two cultures, so far apart,
Could have a shared origin.
or some ancient connection.
It's a tantalizing thought.
And those linguistic parallels are pretty compelling.
Like Kemet, the ancient name for Egypt,
Sounding similar to Kamio in Japanese.
which means the age of the gods.
Too much of a coincidence, don't you
That
think?
too.
And then you have the Japanese sun goddess, Amaterasu,
And the ancient Egyptian name for Heliopolis.
Iyunu, both connected to the sun.
It's like they were drawing from the same well of inspiration.
And get this, even the Sahara Desert.
The name sounds like the Japanese word for desert.
It's crazy, right?
It is! And some people even see similarities between hieroglyphs and Japanese script.
Really?
I'm not saying the ancient Egyptians were sailing to Japan.
But there's definitely something going on here.
Something that needs more investigation.
Maybe there was a lost civilization.
One that predates both Egypt and Japan.
A source culture that spread its influence all over the world.
We're talking Atlantis, Lemuria, all that good stuff.
Now we're getting into the realm of speculation.
We are, but it's fun to think about.
And you never know, right?
What do you mean?
Maybe some of those wild theories are true.
Maybe.
We're always making new discoveries.
That challenge our understanding of the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who knows what else is out there waiting to be found?
I guess we'll just have to keep digging.
Literally and figuratively.
That's right.
You know, this whole conversation about lost civilizations, it reminds me of that weighing of the heart ceremony.
What do you mean?
It's like we're all trying to piece together this giant puzzle of history.
With lots of missing pieces.
And sometimes we try to force the pieces to fit.
Even if they don't belong.
Exactly. But isn't there something strange about that ceremony?
What do you mean?
Your heart is weighed against the feather of Maat.
The goddess of truth and justice.
So it's not just about being a good person.
But about living in accordance with this cosmic order.
With Maat.
That's right.
But who gets to decide what Maat is?
It's like the Egyptians were saying, follow these rules, or else.
And maybe those in power, the pharaohs and priests.
Yeah.
Maybe they were using these myths to control people.
To maintain their authority.
It's a classic power play.
It is. And it makes you wonder, who's really in control?
Who's writing the rules?
Good question.
But let's not get too sidetracked by modern politics.
Right, we're here to talk about ancient Egypt.
And there's one thing we haven't really discussed.
What's that?
Those crazy creatures in Egyptian mythology.
Oh, yeah, the sphinxes, griffins, all that.
It's like they took inspiration from the natural world.
And then cranked it up to 11.
It makes you wonder what they were on.
Seriously. But do you think those creatures have any meaning?
Or are they just there for the shock value?
I think there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, take the Sphinx, for example.
The one with the lion body and human head?
Yeah, it's often seen as a guardian figure.
Protecting sacred places.
Right. And some scholars think it represents the pharaoh.
Combining the strength of a lion with the wisdom of a human.
A powerful symbol of royal authority.
It's pretty cool when you think about it.
It is.
But what about those baboon-headed gods?
Those guys are creepy.
They are. What's their deal?
Well, they're often associated with Thoth,
Who's Thoth?
the god of wisdom, writing, and magic.
So even baboon-headed gods can be wise.
It seems so. Don't judge a god by its appearance.
Or its animal head.
Exactly.
You know, after spending all this time with Egyptian mythology,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it everywhere.
What do you mean?
Those symbols, those archetypes, those themes
Where do you see them?
in art, literature, movies, even video games
It's like the Egyptians planted these seeds of inspiration.
that are still growing today.
Their influence is undeniable.
Those pyramids, the pharaohs, the mummies,
Those animal-headed gods.
they become iconic images.
Part of our collective imagination.
It's like those ancient myths are still talking to us,
Whispering their secrets.
challenging our assumptions
And inviting us to explore the mysteries of the universe.
and the human heart.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
What is?
That we might be rediscovering ancient wisdom.
Wisdom that was lost for centuries.
Maybe that's why Egyptian mythology is so fascinating.
Because it feels like there's something more there.
Something waiting to be revealed.
It's the journey of discovery.
And it's not over yet.
Not even close.
Well, on that note of mystery,
Yeah,
I think we should wrap up this part of our deep dive.
sounds good.
We've explored creation myths, divine battles, resurrection dramas,
And those amazing creatures from the Egyptian imagination.
but there's still so much more to explore.
So many more rabbit holes to dive down.
And we'll do that next time,
When?
when we delve deeper into the world of Egyptian gods and goddesses
Their powers, their personalities.
and their messy relationships.
Oh, yeah. Those gods and goddesses knew how to bring the drama.
They were almost human, weren't they?
They were.
And who knows, maybe we'll uncover a few more laughs along the way.
I'm sure we will.
So until next time, keep those minds curious, those questions coming.
We'll see you back here for another deep dive into Egyptian mythology.
We will. Back again for more Egyptian mythology. It's been quite a journey.
It has.
We've gone from creation myths to divine battles.
And those strange creatures the Egyptians dreamt up?
They had quite an imagination.
They did.
But, there's something I've been thinking about.
What's that?
The role of women in all of this.
Oh, interesting. What about it?
It seems like they had a lot more power.
Than in other ancient cultures.
Yeah.
You're right.
They weren't just sitting around waiting for the men to do things.
Not at all.
They were active players.
In society, in politics, even in the cosmic order.
Look at Isis, for example.
She's a force of nature.
She's not just Osiris's wife.
She's a powerful magician.
A healer.
A mother who brings her husband back from the dead.
She's basically a superhero.
And her story is still relevant today.
She's a symbol of resilience.
Of determination.
Of unwavering love.
The ultimate symbol of feminine power.
And then you have Hathor.
The goddess of love, beauty, music, motherhood.
One of the most popular goddesses in Egypt.
Often depicted as a cow goddess.
Or a woman with cow horns.
Talk about body positivity.
Right. Hathor embraced her curves.
And her horns.
And the Egyptians loved her for it.
She represented joy, abundance, life.
She was the goddess you'd want at your party.
Definitely.
And let's not forget Sekhmet.
The fierce lion goddess.
We weren't afraid to show her anger.
But she was also a protector.
A healer.
A force to be reckoned with.
She reminds us that power can be both terrifying and transformative.
That's a good way to put it.
It's like the Egyptians understood that life is full of contradictions.
Light and darkness.
Creation and destruction.
Love and anger.
Maybe that's why we're still so drawn to these myths.
Why they still resonate with us.
Because they reflect the complexities of being human.
The good and the bad.
The beauty and the beast within us all. Speaking of beasts.
Yes.
We need to talk about those strange creatures.
Oh, yeah, those guys. The Sphinxes.
The Griffins.
The baboon-headed gods.
They definitely add a certain something to Egyptian mythology.
It's like they took inspiration from the natural world.
And then added a touch of the surreal.
Like, hey, reality is already pretty weird.
Let's see how much weirder we can make it.
They were definitely creative.
But do you think those creatures had symbolic meanings?
I do. They represented different aspects of the human psyche.
Our fears, desires, our potential for both good and evil.
Take the Sphinx, for instance.
With the lion's body and the human head.
Often seen as a guardian figure.
Protecting sacred spaces.
Right. Some scholars think it symbolizes the pharaoh.
The strength of a lion combined with the wisdom of a human.
A pretty powerful image.
It is. But what about those baboon-headed gods?
Yeah, those guys are a bit unnerving.
What was their deal?
They're associated with Thoth.
The god of wisdom.
Writing and magic.
So even baboon-headed gods can be wise.
Apparently so.
After spending all this time with Egyptian mythology,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it everywhere.
Really?
Those symbols, those themes,
I see what you mean.
they're all over our culture.
In art, literature, movies, even video games.
Like those ancient seeds of inspiration are still growing today.
I think you're right.
The pyramids, the pharaohs, the mummies.
Those animal-headed gods.
They become iconic.
They're part of our collective imagination.
It's like those ancient myths are still talking to us.
Across the centuries.
Revealing their secrets, challenging our assumptions.
Inviting us to explore the mysteries of the universe and the human heart.
It's amazing how these stories still resonate.
They do. They tap into something universal.
Something timeless.
And maybe that's why we're still so fascinated by them.
It feels like there's always something more to discover.
A hidden meaning waiting to be revealed.
Well said. So on that note of ongoing exploration,
Yeah.
let's wrap up this deep dive into Egyptian mythology.
It's been a fascinating journey.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From creation myths to divine battles to those amazing creatures.
And those powerful goddesses.
Who defied expectations and shaped the course of events.
But this is just the beginning.
Of your exploration of Egyptian mythology.
Exactly. There's a whole world out there waiting to be discovered.
So much more to learn.
So keep those minds curious, those hearts open.
And never stop asking questions.
And until next time, keep diving deep.